Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. Up right in corner we have Vermin starting as the green Zerg. Bottom left hand corner we got Herbmon starting as the pink Zerg. This is going to be on Eclipse. I'm not sure how this all worked out because, I'm trying to think who Herbmon played in round one. Herbmon played someone in round one, ended up getting Nesh. He ended up beating Nesh, which was an upset. Ended up playing Artosis, had very good games versus Artosis. Was knocked out there and now is ending up in the lower bracket to start off versus Vermin. Vermin, a pretty solid Zerg player. I think Herbmon has really strong ZVZ in particular though, although he does tend to, every once in a while he'll play a little bit more creative and go for something like Hydralisk style and play things along that line of thought, which can be a little bit less effective but highly entertaining. By the way, check out his Twitch channel if you haven't already. At Herbmon, he's been streaming quite a bit and getting in practice for this upcoming BSL season. Initial Overlord taking kind of a lower route here for Herbmon initially. Maybe going to dodge Vermin's initial Overlord positioning, and I'll be interested to see the Overlord timing as it makes into the natural expansion. I trust Herb on that pathing though. And it looks like he is going to start with a 9 pool overall, which in modern ZVZ gives you a degree of flexibility where you can, once you're getting your gas, you can shoot, depending what you're up against, you can try to play it one direction or another and force your opponent into more defensive style of play, grabbing an extract alongside. We'll see if he invests in Zergling speed and wants to play a little bit more Zergling aggressive to start, or whether he's playing a different way. But oh man, Vermin on the opposite end is going for a hatchery first build, which if a lot of Zerglings get produced to start, could be absolutely disastrous for Vermin. It can be very hard to defend. But the question will be, are usually the 6 Zerglings are produced to start? Completed, yeah, Zerglings in construction. It's going to be very difficult for Vermin to defend. Spawning pool's just started. He'll be able to produce Zerglings as they're basically interior to his base. I believe with the timing of Eclipse is the way it works. Now, the next interesting question is once that 100 gas completes, does Herbmon invest to go? No, he's going to go lair first. So we'll be there alongside tech. He built a drone as far as the follow-up. So Vermin going to end up with the economic lead if he can hold it. But the spawning pool, we'll keep eyes on it. The Overlord's going to spot the Zerglings as they're coming across. He's going to need to defend with drones. And so he's going to have 2 drone limit here where he can pull them off. But right now the spawning pool is going to complete. And so he's just now producing some Zerglings, and he's only got 2 larvae to do it with. He's going to try to build a defensive something colony, it looks like, which actually evens up the overall drone count. Is producing Zerglings alongside, still might end up bleeding drones, and he really can't defend that natural expansion. Looks like that creep colony also going to get harassed. Let's see if Herbmon leaves it with just a sliver of health. No, he's going to just straight up take it out. He's actually gained the drone lead now, and still has these Zerglings to provide some harassment, working on the spawning pool, which is going to force an engagement. And now he's up on the overall drone count. Some nice exchange with those Zerglings as well. Herbmon showing why he's such a vicious competitor. So despite being even with Zerglings overall, ends up with 2 remaining. So 4 out as well. Herbmon just going to probably keep these 2 injured Zerglings active to be frustrating. Cancel of the hatchery on this side of things. More Zerglings being produced, and I think Vermin recognizes that he's in an all-in scenario where he just has to go in all-in Zergling to try to counter this. So now it is a defensive play from Herbmon. Herbmon needs to just get Mutalisks up in the air and defend against the encroaching Zerglings in order to stay in this. And he knows that if he can keep the Overlord in position to spot the Zerglings as they're coming across, that will be a big boon. Vermin is going to be able to spot and see the timer. Double Sunken Colony has been dropped. Spire about halfway complete. And we do see the investment in Zergling speed with that. Wow, look at that gushing blood on that spawning pool. Just a fountain right there. It's kind of like, if you've ever seen like old school Ninja Scroll, you have the ninjas where their blood seems to be high pressure. And so they get a paper cut and their just blood spurts absolutely everywhere. Apparently the same with Zerg as well, where you get a little bit of an injury and the blood just starts spraying. Vermin going to go with so rather than dedicating Zerglings here, instead just going to opt to go for more of the defensive evolution chamber style play and maybe get some evolution. So get the evolution chamber up, get some spore colonies to try to defend, and then just invest heavily in drones and try to play a catch-up game from there. It's possible to win it from here. He's going to end up losing at least 2 overlords to start, and you're kind of in a race versus Herbmon as far as how many can you get there before you end up with a critical mass of Mutalisks that's able to overwhelm what's left. But this is a playstyle where you can kind of defend and sneak back out of it. I think Herbmon, feeling the lack of pressure from the Sunken colonies and a lack of Zerglings streaming across, will probably be able to tell that this has been the reaction. Some Scourge also moving out, just in case there was an attempted Mutalisk build. Vermin in the red, which is definitely going to slow down his economic efforts towards this regard. Let's see if he's just going to dive them. I assume he's not going to dive them into the Overlord. Might just move them to go ahead and do a little bit forward spotting. Some Zerglings have split off to make sure additional bases have not been grabbed. 1 Scourge taken out by the Spore colonies, but now Herbmon knows what he's up against. The other side issue is Herbmon, once he gets that second, well, actually, never mind. I was going to say you might just want to continue to build Mutalisk here, but rather you're going to go ahead and grab a second gas. He can feel free with the lack of aggressive pressure here to just grab just build as many drones as he wants here. And on top of that, he's going to be able to get that +1 weapons completed a lot faster, so his Mutalisks will hit a lot harder. A nice pickoff of a drone at the natural expansion. Going to help Vermin stay in this a little bit. But now that those Zerglings have been taken care of, that second gas is going to come online, and Herbmon going to go ahead and be able to get to the mineral production. Looks like that Zergling's still sitting right this second, but mostly a neutralized threat. So, layer just starting, and we've got, what, a 3 Mutalisk lead that will probably grow. 4 Mutalisk lead, couple Scourge out there as well, but a 7 drone lead for Vermin to try to catch up with. Let's see if Herbmon closes that gap. So now it comes to the question of making sure he stays on top of that macro. Vermin also had that supply cap. Vermin doing very wise things, making sure that a 3rd base wasn't grabbed anywhere out there. Herbmon doesn't really need to grab a 3rd base. He might want to drop an in-base 3rd hatchery. Got plenty of overlords and supply to work with. But he just needs to sit back, make sure he keeps that macro up, make sure that he maintains air superiority, and at a certain point when he's got that magical number of Mutalisks that can start overtaking spores in single engagement, even with additional Mutalisks in there, you can just go ahead and press. The Zerglings sneaking to the natural expansion, very quickly taken out by Herbmon. Herbmon slowly closing that supply gap, but still maintaining a massive air lead. And I think a full control group of Mutalisks, especially with that +1 weapons, is kind of that point. So Vermin, he's going to have some trouble here. He's going to drop an in-base 3rd hatchery. He's got that Queen's Nest dropping behind this before the Spire. So maybe wanting to go straight to Hive Tech all the way around to try to sneak this. I don't think this is going to end up being a winning strategy. A little bit too early to try that. Maybe if he had won an air battle to start. Instead, that's just going to cut into his gas. You can get it. I don't think the Defiler timing ends up being there. If you can get Plague, though, if you can get Dark Swarm, you can, both of those end up negating Mutalisks. Usually people want to go for the Plague. Sometimes you'll see a switch over to Hydralisk where you see Hydra Plague, and that can be pretty effective. Actually, Hydra Plague, Dark Swarm, very, very effective at neutralizing Mutalisk advantages. But yeah, we're seeing a direct switch to Hive Tech. That's a lot of gas. That's not Mutalisks, however. Zergling's making sure an additional base wasn't taken out in the field. But now Herbmon, still down 8 drones overall, but way up in supply. It's actually supply capped himself. Actually, no, never mind. Looks like he's staying on top of that supply cap. But with +1 weapons finished and a lot of Mutalisks out in the field, I'm waiting for him to start moving out, and not too long to start picking some battles. Especially because he knows he has air superiority. He doesn't necessarily know that he has economic superiority. A couple Zerglings going to be able to dispatch the Zergling that was on patrol for Herbmon here in the top. Well, maybe not. So free hit right there. Herbmon readjusting. As a single Zergling waiting for any sort of combatants to come that direction as well. But Herbmon can't just sit back and expect to win the game off just pure defense right here. He's got all sorts of Scourge up in the air. He's got a really good Mutalisk army, but right now hasn't started utilizing it. In the meantime, he's been at a 9 drone deficit, which means Vermin has had that amount of resources. And this might pay off if Herbmon plays too defensively here. We've got a lot of Mutalisks actually in production for Vermin. Got them out in the field. Looks like that 3rd has potentially been closed out. But Herbmon currently down 10 drones. And Hive Tech is there, looking to see whether, but Hive Tech in and of itself is not sufficient. +1 weapons finished, armor, +1 armor about halfway finished on that side. The 2 Zerglings going to sneak across, a defensive Sutton colony being built just in case there is some counterattack. But Herbmon now moving out. He's got that +1 weapons. He's got a lot of Mulisks, but as soon as he sees this Queen's Nest, I assume we're going to see a big dedication. Defiler Mound in that upper right-hand corner to try to hide away from everything else. And there's a lot of Scourge as well. The Scourge currently poking forward, looking to see whether the coast is clear. And now the Mulisks diving in, looking to engage. The Scourge between, able to land all over those Mulisks. And now Herbmon looking to engage. That Mutalisk army heads up. But he sees the Queen's Nest. Vermin has invested a massive amount into drones, and Consume is... So we got a Defiler and potentially Consume on the way, which will negate Herbmon's advantage in the air. Right now, Herbmon with only a 6 supply lead. Another grouping of Mutalisks moving up, and Herbmon's going to need to get another shot, and he needs to take out all of this tech here in the upper right. And with a superior engagement, it looks like a lot of these Mutalisks have been heavily damaged in comparison. Herbmon with more than a control group, so he's got bonus, but he needs to get a move on and make something happen out of it. Looks like he's going to go ahead and grab that 9 o'clock location. But currently, Vermin has just macroed his brains out. He's, yeah, going to go for the Plague upgrade. He's got a Defiler out someplace, so might turn this into a victory. Herbmon now moving out. This is going to be a critical battle. There, the Defiler able to sneak out. He's already taken some critical fire. It looks like both Sutton colonies going to get wiped out. That drone line going to be completely exposed, as well as all of this tech in the rear. The Mutalisks now engaging over the hive line, being forced to engage. And unfortunately, it looks like Vermin going to end up losing all of those Mutalisks, which means the main is completely exposed. Maybe if the Defiler can get some energy, no, it's going to be GG from there. So Vermin looked like he had some signs of life, but Herbmon sweeping in with his massive army, able to clip things out, sees the victory. He will continue in the lower bracket. Vermin is eliminated. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for listening.